All right, today we are diving into one of the most critical topics in all of digital assets, security. We're going to put two major technologies head-to-head. You've got the old guard, cold storage, and the new challenger, multi-party computation. You'll hear it called MPC. Let's get right into it.
Just think about this for a second. This is the whole puzzle of crypto security, right? We're not talking about gold bars you can lock up. We're not talking about stacks of cash. We're talking about information, a long string of numbers. But when that string of numbers controls a fortune, suddenly protecting it is one of the most high-stakes games in the world.
And this is the string of numbers that matters. It's called the private key, and it is everything. Seriously, it's not like a password you can just reset. It is the absolute final proof that you own your assets. If anyone gets their hands on it, your crypto is gone. Just poof, instantly. So the entire security industry is built around protecting this one thing.
So how did the industry first try to solve this crazy problem? Well, they looked to the real world and decided to build a digital fortress. And that brings us to the world of cold storage, the original gold standard for securing crypto.
The idea behind it is actually brilliantly simple. If all the biggest threats are coming from the internet, well then you just take the most important thing, that private key, and you take it completely offline. You create what's called an air gap, a literal physical separation from any network. If there's no connection, there's just no way for a hacker to get in from a distance.
And you can see right away why this is so powerful. By just being offline, cold storage pretty much neutralizes all the biggest threats we hear about. Online hacking, malware, phishing scams, all of them need an internet connection to work. So, by just unplugging, you've cut off the attacker's main route in.
Now, when we talk about this for big institutions, we're not just talking about putting a USB drive in a safe. Oh no, it is a whole production. We're talking about a formal key generation ceremony with multiple people watching, cameras rolling on computers that have never, ever touched the internet. Then they use something called multisig, where you need, say, 2 out of 3 people to approve anything, so no one person has all the power. And then they store pieces of the key in different high-security vaults in different parts of the world. To get anything done, people have to physically go to these places. It's slow, it's manual, but wow is it secure.
Okay, so let's be super clear about one thing people often get wrong. You're not actually putting your Bitcoin or your Ether into a physical vault. The coins themselves, they never leave the blockchain. They're always there. What you're locking away in that vault is the key that controls those coins. It's all about securing the access, not the actual asset. So this fortress-level security sounds amazing, right? Unbeatable. But it creates a huge problem. We live in a world that moves 24/7 at the speed of light. What happens when your security operates at the speed of someone driving to a bank vault? This right here is the core dilemma, that constant trade-off between security and speed. And the easiest way to understand this is by looking at hot wallets versus cold wallets. A hot wallet is online. It's fast, it's great for day-to-day trading, but it's also way more vulnerable. Think of it like the cash in your pocket. A cold wallet, on the other hand, is offline. It's slow, it's a pain to use, but it's incredibly safe. That's like the money locked away in a bank vault. You really need both, but they do totally different jobs.
And this chart, wow, it really drives the point home. Look at this. For a typical institution, a staggering 95%, sometimes even more, of their assets are parked in deep cold storage. And just a tiny little fraction, like 5%, is kept in hot wallets to handle the everyday business.
Which leads to a pretty obvious question, doesn't it? If basically all the money is locked up in a vault that could take hours or even days to get into, how can a platform offer you an instant trade, anytime, day or night? The numbers just don't seem to add up.
And the best way to explain this is the casino vault analogy. It's perfect. Your daily trades and withdrawals, they're not using the money from the main vault. They're just using the chips that are already out on the casino floor, that small percentage of funds in the hot wallet. The massive cold storage vault is only opened every once in a while, with super high security, to bring more chips out to the tables when they start to run low.
But what if you could get that hot wallet speed with something closer to cold wallet security? What if you could solve this whole dilemma by creating a key that, in a weird way, doesn't even exist? Well, that cryptographic magic is the revolutionary idea behind something called multi-party computation, or MPC.
So what is MPC?
It's this incredible cryptographic trick where a single private key is mathematically shattered into multiple pieces, or key shares, and then distributed. But here's the magic trick. These shares can work together to sign a transaction without ever being put back together into the full key. The whole key, it never, ever exists in one place at one time.
Okay, to really get this, let's picture the old way again. With cold storage, you have one complete, super-sensitive private key. The whole security plan is about protecting that single point of failure by locking it away in a physical box. MPC just completely flips that on its head. It takes that single key and basically pulverizes it into these mathematical fragments. And the most important part is that any one of these fragments is totally useless by itself. If a hacker manages to steal one piece, they get nothing. And this is the final, kind of mind-blowing part. When it's time to approve a transaction, the separate fragments all do a little cryptographic dance together. They compute their own little part of the signature and then combine them mathematically to create the final valid signature that the blockchain will accept. The key itself is never put back together, ever. It stays in fragments always. There's no single key for anyone to steal.
So, now we've got our two main contenders. On one side, the physical, ironclad fortress of cold storage. On the other, the distributed cryptographic defense of MPC. It's time to put them head-to-head.
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Cold storage? Yes, there's a single key, it's just offline. It needs a physical vault, and it's slow. MPC? Nope, no single key exists, no physical vault needed, and it is lightning fast. Now, both are really good against remote hackers. But look at that line, insider attack risk. With MPC, it is way lower. Why? Because no single rogue employee can ever get their hands on the whole key. It's a huge shift from physical security to pure cryptographic security. So who wins the big showdown? Cold storage or MPC? Well, the funny thing is, in the real world, the smartest people in the room realized it's not about picking a winner. The modern security playbook isn't about versus at all. That's right, it's about and. The most secure approach isn't choosing cold storage or MPC, it's using cold storage and MPC together. They aren't rivals, they're actually complementary tools in a much bigger security toolbox.
And here's how they do it in the real world. Platforms use those fast, automated MPC wallets for all the daily stuff, the trading, the withdrawals, but they still keep the vast majority of their assets, the deep reserves, in traditional cold storage using things called hardware security modules, or HSMs. A perfect example is a regulated custodian like Tetra Trust working with an MPC expert like Fireblocks. They combine their strengths. This gives their clients the best of both worlds. And get this, it even creates this incredible synergy where MPC can help make the process of moving funds out of cold storage safer and more automated, cutting down on those human risks we talked about earlier.
So at the end of the day, the big takeaway is this. Digital asset security is no longer a one-size-fits-all problem. It's all about having layers of defense. It's about using the right tool for the right job. MPC for speed, cold storage for that ultimate long-term protection. The goal is always to find that perfect balance between being absolutely impenetrable and still being usable.
And that just leaves us with one final, pretty wild thought for the future. We've gone from locking a key in a physical vault to shattering it into mathematical dust. As this technology keeps getting better and better, you just have to wonder, are we heading towards a future where the only key we're willing to trust is the key that never actually exists in one place at all?